All right, we're going to look at the Metasploit lab. So let's go ahead and fire up our Kali box. Full screen on it. Hopefully, yeah, we'll remember our credentials. Kali. And first things first, I'm going to always verify that I can connect to the internet. Ping google.com. Looks like I'm getting communication. Control C. Here. All right, so let's open up our web browser. Oops, and I can go like this. And I'm already logged into the TryHackMe platform, so you should go ahead and accomplish that process and join the room if you're not already joined. All right, so what we're going to be looking at is Metasploit. You may not see this video unless you have a paid account, but the room is free. You should be able to do everything within the room. It's just you don't get these walkthrough videos unless you pay for it. You do not need to pay for it in order to get an excellent experience out of this. So at any rate, this is going to talk a little bit about Metasploit. So it says an open source pen testing framework. It's used by professionals and professional bad guys and good guys alike. So yeah, it's a real tool. So we're going to look at that. It says Kali and other distributed Linux include Metasploit. So we're going to be using Kali. So it's saying it's basically already installed. So I'm going to go ahead and hit complete. And hey, our first task is done. And then initializing, it says if this is your first time using Metasploit, you have to do a few things before it's functional. So let's go ahead and start on this. It says the first thing we need to do is initialize the database. We're going to do this with this command, msf db init. So there is one caveat here. This command will require administrator privileges. We will need root user access in order to successfully do it. What do I mean by that? I'm going to go ahead and try to run it, and hopefully it fails. Otherwise, I will look silly. All right, it did not. It says error / user bin msfdb must be run as root. So Metasploit framework database msfdb. How do we run as root? Sudo. And ask us for our password again, Kali. Now it's telling us, rather than giving us an error starting database, so on and so forth, and creating initial database schema. Good deal. Now, depending on the type of exploits you're going to be leveraging, this next part where it says msf console-h, sometimes you need to run msf console, particularly if you're binding to those low ports under 1024. If that's about the only thing I can think of really that that you would definitely need access to be able to open a port on those low ports, and that's using any of their modules that include the ability to act as like a web server on one of those ports. So let's just go ahead and sudo msf console, and they're saying -h because they want to look at the help somehow. So it's going to, all right, so we're going to run sudo msf console -h. And that's going to show us the help menu. And all right, and so we did the first one, so I'm going to go ahead and hit correct. Before starting, we can view some of the advanced options. We can do that. I'm going to hit correct. It says we can start msf console and command line without showing the banner or any startup information as well. What switch do we add to msf console to start without showing this information? Okay, so banner. Let's see. TAC Q for quiet. TAC Q. Now, I will say that that is, you know, a more fun feature, although it doesn't add anything to MSF console. we'll see it right here. I was going to say like MSF console, like these interesting little, visual things that it can do. It's going to hopefully show us something fun. So Metasploit park security interface, access security permission denied. You didn't say the magic word, so on and so forth. If I exit, and you can hit Control D to exit, it also sends the end of file command, and you run and you open MSF console again, you're likely going to get something different. They just show you like a random, ASCII art or message or something just kind of fun each time. So this is just their logo, but an ASCII art. So we went ahead and launched it. So after Metasploit has started, let's go ahead and check that we've connected to the database, and we can do this with the command db status. That's db_status. And you can use tab completion within the Metasploit console. So you should see something that looks like MSF 6. If you're on an old version of Kali, you'll probably see like MSF 5 right here. A really old version will just say MSF. So DB status, it says we are connected to MSF, connection type, PostgreSQL. So that's what the MSF database init does. So it looks like we're done there. So what does our hint say? These commands can all be found in the database backend commands section of the help menu once you've started Metasploit framework. Sweet. Cool, we've connected the database. Which type of database is it that Metasploit 5 used? So Metasploit 5, Metasploit 6 are all going to use the same kind, and that's just PostgreSQL. I'm going to copy and paste that, submit. Hey, and that's that section done. All right, so it says welcome to the core commands is the next section. So let's go ahead and start exploring the help menu. On the Metasploit prompt, type the command help, okay? HELP. Oh man, our screen filled up. Scrolling up, scrolling up. There's the start of our output. Scrolling down, you can see core commands. That was the title of this section, wasn't it? Core commands. Okay, we went ahead and typed help. The help menu has a very short 1-character alias. What is it? Help menu, question mark. So if I do that, if I hit the enter key to sort of go back to the bottom of the page and I type just a question mark, it looks like I get the same thing basically. So I think that's our answer. Submit. Excellent. All right, finding various modules we have at our disposal within Metasploit is one of the most common commands we'll leverage in the framework. What is the base command we use for searching? I'm going to scroll up. Okay, so keywords in the sentence. I saw finding modules, finding various modules. What is the base command used for searching? Knowing that they didn't make it hard, they're not making it hard to use or difficult to understand. The command is called search. And I see it here. I just scrolled down and I was reading through until I found all the right things. So search is module names and descriptions. So what can I put here? Search, S-E-A-R-C-H. I'm pretty confident that's right. Whoop, whoop, our answer is correct. Excellent. So what's the next one? It says, once we found the module we want to leverage, what is the command to select it as the active module? So context clues. I see that the answer is going to have 3 dots, 1, 2, 3. Use has 3 dots, 1, 2, 3. We want to leverage. When you leverage with something, you're interacting with it, right? So I'm just kind of piecing all that together. Let's see. Whoop, whoop. Looks like our answer was correct. Good. And I'm calling that out right there. So what else? What else do we have here? Uh-oh. Oh no, I stopped my share screen. Why'd that happen? Share. Sorry. Okay, so let's see. How about if we want to view information about either specific module or just the active one we have selected? I see 4 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4 for info. I could see help being a reasonable guess here. Help menu, but I know the help command shows all of this stuff. So does the question mark. I think info is it. Let's try it. Info. Okay, usage, info, module name, module 2, module 3, JSON D. Queries the supplied. I'm pretty confident it's info. I'm just going to guess. Yeah, that was correct. Okay, guessing costs nothing. There's nothing. We don't lose any points. There's nothing like that to worry about failure or anything. So Metasploit has a built-in netcat-like function where we can make a quick connection to a host simply to verify we can talk to it. What command is this? Ooh, interesting. I don't know. I'm just gonna scroll and then just sort of pay attention to these like developer commands, credential backend commands, database backend commands. Some of those are going to come in handy later, particularly like services and hosts, and nmap, db export, import. Okay, so handler, rename. I don't know. This is one where we might have to go to the Google. Let's do that. So what was the question? Built-in netcat-like function. So paste Metasploit. Okay, so it looks like this is somebody's answer. Using connect as netcat. Where did it? Oh, connect, communicate with host. Right there. The very top, a core command. Let's see what this thing says, this link. See, they're using an old version of Metasploit. Metasploit is great command connect. Huh, I didn't know that. How does that work? So I'm going to open up a new terminal just to sort of explore this idea. File, control new. Remember with netcat, we can go nc tac l to listen on a port 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I hit enter to come, oops, get back into Metasploit console, I don't know what happened there. Crashed. Yeah, it just crashed. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna connect local host 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that what the command said? Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why that's specify the conf help banner host colon port. Oh no, no colon. I don't know why that connect command isn't working. I've never used it, didn't know about it, so there's that. Okay, well, we'll just press on. Entirely, I use the manual netcat, so you can run some limited, like just ls command inside of Metasploit shell, but generally you'll notice you lose all of, like, oh, normally in your shell that folder is blue, the desktop folder, or the downloads folder is blue. This is like red because it's a certain kind of file. Programs like this one, quick.sh, are green. So, and these are probably just like gray or white. You lose all of that, a lot of that stuff, because we're inside of the Metasploit terminal. It's just capturing the output of that program and showing it to you kind of as a convenience. But normally I like to just have a separate shell on the outside that I can mess with and do something if I need to. So, all right. Entirely one of the commands purely utilized for fun. What command to show the MOTD or ASCII art we see at the start of MSF console without the -q flag? So MOTD is message of the day. And if we look at our help again, we're probably, I think this one's going to be banner. Display awesome Metasploit banner, BANNR, ER. Whoop. Yeah, let's run it again. Now we got a new one. Let's run it again. We got a new one again. We got a new one. Okay, so I think that's BANNER. Whoop, whoop, we're correct. We'll revisit the next two commands shortly, but they're the most used commands in Metasploit. What do we do to change the value of a variable? Okay, let's look at our help menu. Scrolling up, looking around. I see 3 dots. Core commands. Sets a specific context variable to a value. Change the value of a variable. Variable is kind of what we're cluing in right there. Variable, you set variables to something. Set, submit. Metasploit supports the use of global variables, something which is incredibly useful when you're specifically focusing on a single box. What command changes the value of a variable globally? Well, it looks like set G right below it. SETG. Now that we've learned how to change the value of variables, there are technically several answers to this. However, I'm looking for a specific 3-letter command which is used to view the value of a single variable. So this is asking us, how do we view variables? Here we are. Get. Okay. Gets the value of a specific variable. All right. And so this one says, how about changing the value of a variable to null or no value? What's the hint say? This is also very similar to set. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters long. I'm guessing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets, unsets 1 or more. If it's not set, it's null or it has no value. Okay, unset. Cool deal. Whoop, whoop, our answer was correct. So when performing a penetration test, it's quite common to record your screen either for further review, provide evidence of actions taken. This is often coupled with collection of console output to a file, as it can be incredibly useful to grep for different pieces of information about output to the screen. What command can be used to set our console output to save to a file? scrolling around. Let's see. Let's see. It's 5. This is. Don't know yet. What command can we use to set our console output to save to a file? So I saw a command in here that looked useful, and I'm going to see if it works. It was the grep command. So just like grep in the regular shell, maybe I can pipe information to grep. Let's see, check. I don't think that worked. Oh, okay. Maybe you have to start it like this. Grep. Ah, okay. I think it does do that. So the way that this one works is you say grep, you know, target source. All right. So where is this? Where source is where is the information coming from? What command is it coming from? And this is going to be, in this instance, the help command. And I'm not looking for the word target. I'm actually looking for output. So show only the word lines that contain the word output that are rendered from the command named help. Write console output to a file as well as the screen. Spool. Okay. Boop, boop, your answer is correct. Awesome. Leaving a Metasploit console running isn't always convenient. It can be helpful to have all of our previously values set when loading up or starting at Metasploit. What command can we use to store our active setting data source from Metasploit to a settings file? This will save within your MSF4, MSF5, and our instance, MSF6 directory, and can be undone easily by simply removing the created settings file. Let's try that thing again. I'm looking for settings is kind of the thing they keep harping on. Settings from the command help. Show me only those lines, nothing. Well, that didn't work. Let's see. What if I just want to run the help command? I'll look by hand, like kind of manual it. Let's see. It's 4 characters long. And let's see. Let me search for a second. I'll be right back. Let's see. Okay. Advanced tips. That seems like it could be useful. Oh, active data stores. Save. I saw the word data stores right here. Data stores, active data stores, save as the command. What does that do? It says saves the active data stores. What about info save? Or, well, that doesn't work. Info is about a module. Save is not a module. Save is a command. Save tac H. Oh, I guess it does save it in the .msf4. That's weird. We don't have Metasploit 4 on here. We have Metasploit 6. Okay. Well, that's the path to where it's saving it. So let's save. There it is. Whoop, whoop, our answer is correct. And that's that module, or that task, rather. So it says modules for every occasion. Metasploit consists of 6 core modules that make up the bulk of the tools you're going to use. So this part is important. I'm going to try to zoom in. Okay, so because the image is kind of important, I guess. So we will have probably already talked about this a bit, but there are exploit modules, there are payload modules, and auxiliary modules. These other 2 modules are interesting, but we're not going to leverage them in this go around. So more often than not, we spend our time using exploit modules. That is the technical hacking thing that's going to take place, where you've leveraged some 0-day vulnerability, right? Or it's not a 0-day if it's a Metasploit, but you've written your own Metasploit module to contain your 0-day exploit. That is where that comes from. If you're using a tool like or vulnerability like Eternal Blue, that's a exploit that you're using. The program that you want to run on someone else's computer, that's your payload, right? That is, and it might not just be a program that you had to write. I mean, they come with a bunch of them. That's the reason we're using Metasploit, because it's kind of one-stop shopping. They've already done the legwork into building what we call the implant. So that's the code to run on someone else's computer. The auxiliary modules are about a lot of times detecting and validating information, or I'm sorry, I get reconnaissance, validating, enriching information that's there. There's another type of module that is not shown on this, and those are post modules, and those are post exploits. So you've exploited a machine, you've gotten a payload, and generally that payload in Metasploit is going to be one of the, like the interpreter payload, and we'll look at that here in a bit. But there are post modules, so things you do after the fact. So like stealing passwords, setting up keyloggers, taking a screenshot, turning on the webcam. Those a lot of times can be run by way of a post module. We'll look at all that here in a little bit. Anyway, let's get back on track and do this. So easily the most commonly common module utilized, which module holds all of the exploit code we will use. exploit, exploit. Whoop, whoop, our answer is correct. Good. Used hand in hand with exploits, which module contains the various bits of shellcode we will send to have executed following the exploitation. So that's talking about like what code, what program are we sending along to have the computer run? That's going to be our payload. I'm pretty confident. Payload. Boop, boop, our answer is correct. Which module is commonly used in scanning and verification of machines which are exploitable? This is not the same as actual exploitation, of course. I think that's going to be auxiliary. Is that how you spell auxiliary? It is. Lucky. One of the most common activities after exploiting is looting and pivoting. Which module provides these capabilities? Did they say anything? There was something we were supposed to read, or were we just supposed to Google that? I think we were supposed to Google it, but I'm going to hit the hint. See my note below the image above. Okay, what was that note? This diagram includes both the interfaces and most of the modules. Does not include the post module. Oh, there it is right there. You said it. Post. Sweet. Commonly utilized in payload obfuscation, which module allows us to modify the appearance of our exploits such that we may avoid signature detection. Okay, so I guess we can use them, but that's actually the encoder module. There's an encoder called Shigata Ganai, and it's basically, like I said, it obfuscates. It makes it difficult for the naive signature-based detections to find them. However, heuristic-based detections will unpack that because it's a very common encoder. So I'm going to hit encoder. All right. Last but not least, this module is used with buffer overflow and ROP attacks. ROP stands for return-oriented programming. I've never used the NOP modules before, but I've also not used any, like the buffer overflow modules usually come pretty well. For anything we've used Metasploit for, it's operationally ready with just the exploit module. I've not used it for a whole lot of that, but I can tell that that's going to be the NOP, or the no operation. So ROP's a cool thing, but it's kind of an advanced topic. The buffer overflows we'll have talked about a bit, and we're going to leverage some. So not every module is loaded in by default. What command can we use to load a different module? Well, I think it probably says it in the name right there. I'm going to guess load a framework plugin. Let's try. I was straight guess. So I'm going to MSF help command. So I guess they're calling them, they're not calling them list the module stack. They're kind of like mixing the words that they're using between like framework plugin. And you write Metasploit modules, but maybe they're changing the nomenclature to like plugin. I don't know. So that's the end of task 4. So let's move on to task 5. All right, let me zoom out a bit because I think it's less helpful now. All right, so it says, remember the database we set up. In this step, we're going to take a look at what we can use it for and exploit our victim while we're at it. So I'm going to hit start machine. So this should be starting up our box. Now, if you guys remember, we have to jump on the VPN in order to do this. So what am I going to do here? I'm not going to use the attack box. I'm going to use the VPN. Boop. I'm going to open up a dedicated VPN terminal. And if you didn't already download it, into your downloads folder, you should have what they call their connection pack. If you go to the very top of the page right here, and you open the Access tab, I'm opening a new tab. This is how you get your connection pack right here. Right now you can see we are not connected. If I hit this download button, it's basically going to give me another copy of this file. The way that we connect to the VPN is sudo open VPN, again, already pre-installed, and then the name of our connection pack. That'll be your username.ovpn. All right, and then because we're running it as root, let's ask for our password, KALI. All right, and if all goes well, we should see this initialization sequence completed. If that's where it's at, we're in a good spot. So I'm going to move that over to the side. And if we refresh this, we should have a little green check. Boom, there we are. We're connected. I can close that tab. So cool. That machine looks like it's already up and running, that little floating bar at the top. So what's really nice about this is like it has these, it's like reactive programming is the term, but it shows like in real time the variables as they update. So this IP address, this command, you can copy and paste this command and it will work because there's a variable here. If it's not running, it says like machine IP. But you can copy and paste this command and get the code as expected, or I'm sorry, get the result that I guess they're kind of expecting. It's just a nice feature. Rather than saying your IP here, it actually gives you the thing. So where are we at? Let's see. Metasploit comes with, we haven't touched Nmap in this room, let alone perform recon. Metasploit has the database makes it really cool. This is probably one of my favorite features of Nmap, just to sort of help me keep track of things rather than saving things off in a file and like having to go through the file later. You can do a lot of this work in Metasploit. So what they're talking about here is the database enabled version of Nmap. So all the recon that we did previously, we're going to keep doing recon. We're always going to be running scans and things of that nature. It says Metasploit comes with a built-in way to run nmap, feeds raw results directly into the database. Let's run it. So I can copy and paste that selection, hit enter. I should have done that a minute ago rather than talking, but live and learn. If we hit enter a couple of times, it should give us our little status updates as well. It says no answer needed, so complete. What service does nmap identify running on port 135? That's our answer. So, nice thing about this nmap version or the database enabled nmap provided by Metasploit is that it will it accepts all of the same parameters as the normal console or terminal version of nmap. So all of the tuning that you can do with TAC-T for your timing profiles, or exporting output of commands, or running certain vulnerabilities, those will all work here as well, with the added benefit of them being then able to be like searched in a database. And I'm sure we're going to search through some of that stuff here in a second. So I'm going to hit enter a couple more times. All right, so it says it's almost done with the scan, server scan timing. Okay, cool deal. So it says our scan report is done, and this output is remarkably similar to what we'd see in the normal terminal. It's just prefaced with these blue stars, blue asterisk nmap, and then so it's showing you the output of a particular command, and the blue just kind of represents the notion of like informational. So what service is nmap identified running on port 135? Service in this column, just like regular nmap, state, port, protocol, and then version if it's available. MSRPC, remote protocol, remote procedure call. Cool. Hit submit. Let's see information we've collected. Try typing hosts into the database now. So hosts. So this is, I think, again, a cool feature. I can have all the machines that I've like gotten a response from that are marked as online will show up as a host that is potentially targeted. If I know the operating system, I'll have an operating system name. If I have, if it's on the same LAN as me, for instance, I'll have the MAC address. I'll have the host name if that's available, things like that. So I'm gonna hit completed on the host command. How about something else from the database? Now try the command services now. Services. So this shows me all the things that are running and available across all of the hosts. Now, it just so happens I only have one host in this network, but I would see basically this output for all of the people. If I scanned a whole class C or /24, I would see, 250 something IPs, 254 IPs worth of ports and protocols if those IPs are on and active. So what does it say? It says no answer needed, complete. One last thing, try the vulns is what it says. VULNS. And so this, if there's something detected, some version detected that has like known vulnerabilities, hopefully it'll show up in this list. As it stands, I guess it doesn't know that any of these things are expressly vulnerable. They might be, it's just not obvious that they are to the basic, work that Metasploit put into it so far. So I'm gonna hit complete. All right, so now that we've scanned our victim system, let's try connecting to it with a Metasploit payload. First, we'll have to search for the targeted payload in Metasploit 5. Most recent at the time of writing, you can simply type use followed by a unique string only found within the target exploit. For example, try this out with the following command. What is the full path of the exploit that now appears on MSF console prompt? Oh man, so I just learned something from this room. If this works, I guess I'll maybe try it first. So use IceCast. Whoa, all right, so that's very cool. That was a painful thing in the past. Wow, okay. How did this work? Normally, it's in the past, like I was taught that you always have to type out, use exploit, Windows, HTTP, and then the name of the, like, the way the structure of the folder is, what is this thing? It's an exploit for what platform? It's for the Windows platform. For what protocol or service? For an HTTP service, for what specific application, and the type of exploit. For the IceCast application, and there's maybe exploiting some header. What this little block told us is that as long as this doesn't show up anywhere else in any other exploit, Metasploit knows that that's the one you intend to use. So for instance, I'm going to look up PSExec. PSExec is a way to remotely run programs legitimately or illegitimately on another computer. I can search through the database by just typing search, and it'll show me all of the available exploits, auxiliary modules, NOPs, encoders, yada, yada. So search for PSExec, enter. And you can see I have a bunch, and I might need to zoom out a bit. I'm going to rerun the command. All right, so it just kind of helps formatting a little bit. Still, you can see that lines kind of wrapped around. Let me go full screen. There we go. That's better. So, and zoom in, maybe just a little bit. Some more. Cool. Command, or I'm sorry, this is the 0th result, or the first result, the the 1th result, the 2th result, so on and so forth, right? It's zero-based indexing. These are all auxiliary modules. Auxiliary modules are going to be used to validate that something's there. Exploit is going to be used to actually do the thing. It's actually going to hack something, right? Okay, so in the past, like if I wanted to use this particular PSExec module, I mean, I still have to do it in this instance because, or if I want to use this particular like Eternal Blue exploit, copy, I have to use this. All right, and so now I am explicitly using that. If I were to type use PSExec, it's showing me, it's basically searching for PSExec. It's like, hey, which one do you want to use? So another nice thing about this is they're kind of telling you a little bit here at the bottom. It kind of remembers your last like query or the last command, and so it looks like I can type use. Let's see, use 9, right? And that should load me into exploit Windows SMB PSExec. So if I type use 9, see. In the past, those features, I guess, weren't a thing, or at least I don't ever recall using them, or I never thought to use them. This is super nice now. I like this. I'm excited about this, in case you can't tell. I learned something with you. All right, cool. So thank you, TryHackMe, for letting everyone sort of get a cool learning thing today. So use IceCast. So let's make sure we get the full path. All right, so the format here is, remember, they all the exploit modules are going to start with exploit. Exploit / Windows / HTTP / IceCast _ HEADER. Enter. Nice. All right, that was our answer. Go ahead and run the command used number next to exploit multi / handler. So, oh, here we are. we're supposed to, you got to read the entire instruction. So search multi/handler. I guess it's been this way for a while because they were talking about Metasploit 5 in this. And so, man, all right then, excellent. And again, an effort to sort of show that it kind of comes out in like a nice, well-formatted way. You can see that you can search through that a little bit more when you're looking on your screen, or if it's full screen like this. It looks like I can type use 6. So that's, I'm just going to bounce this back over. It says, go ahead and run the command use next to exploit handler, where the number will be what appears in the far left column. Use 6. Nice. Man, I am super excited about that feature. Wow. All right, great. What is the name of the left-hand column and the far left side of the console that shows up next to name? I think the name of it is the octathorpe. Whoop, whoop, that is our correct answer. All right. Wow, now, man, learning something. All right, so this is a short way to use modules. Okay, completed. Now let's set the payload using this command, set payload Windows Interpreter reverse TCP. And this way we can modify which payloads we want to use with our exploits. So remember I said like the payload is the program, right? Or the code you want to run once you've exploited the system, once you've hacked something, what's the next bit of code you want it to run? So let's see. All right, let's see. Let's set the payload. So the command is set some variable. And I guess they didn't really show you this. Like if you show, oh gosh, options. This is like show options. Anytime you use a module, you almost always want to show options because you need to know what's required and what's already established. So lhost is the listening host, right? That's who's going to receive the connection from the target machine. And lport is the listening port. So not only where are they going to talk to, but what port are they going to talk to in that. This one has a default value of 4444. You'll see that in a lot of the payload like options as a default, particularly for this shell reverse TCP. But lhost needs to be populated with our IP address because we're going to receive the connection. So what are they saying here? Set payload this exploit. I'm sorry, this payload copy. Reverse TCP. And reverse TCP means rather than me connecting to it, once it's attacked and it's run my code, it's going to connect to me. So reverse TCP. And now I need to show options, lhost, set lhost, and I'm using tab completion to my IP address. My IP address can be found right, I'm sorry, that's their IP address. What is my IP address? How do I find that? If I scroll up, I go to here and I go to access. This is one way, right? That's one way to find it. Another way to find it. If I open up another terminal, I can type IPADDR, and it's going to be my TUN0 interface, my tunnel. I have a virtual private network, a secure connection via a tunnel to their network. Here it is, 10.0.24/.29. Copy, paste. So paste. Cool. Another interesting thing is that Metasploit is pretty clever. If I hit tab, it should show me all the available like options, things that I could possibly run. It knows that this is an IP address on my machine. This is an IP address on my machine. So is this. So is this. These are other ways that you can specify it. This is the one this is the version of the command we want. So it's really helpful to you. Tab is your friend. So let's minimize that. Let's close that tab again. Scroll back down to the active question. You might have checked using the IP editor. Oh, there we go. There we go. And our ton zero. That's all the stuff I said. I could let you guys read that and you'd be fine. Complete. Now go ahead and return to your previous exploit. I'm going to use IceCast. All right. One last step before we can run our exploit. Run the command, set our host, and then this value. Why this value? Well, that's our target machine. That's the IP address of the machine that we spun up when we hit the deploy box a minute ago. So again, we can copy and paste this even. And what happens when I just have to set it go. It says, once you've set those variables correctly, run the exploit now, either via the exploit command or the run-j to run the command as a job. So you can use either exploit or run. I think it makes sense to use the command and the nomenclature for the activity you're doing. You're using an exploit, type exploit. If you're using an auxiliary module, type run. Both of them support, I mean, they are alias to each other. They are the same thing, but just sort of in your mind so you can just kind of remember what you're doing when you're doing it. The -j is kind of useful. Sometimes you might have a bunch of different like activities going off at once, and if people are going to try to connect back to you, it can be useful to set up multi-handler as a job and to run that handler as a job in the background. That is to say, it will sort of capture the shells, do all that negotiation for you in the background, and have it waiting for you for when you're ready to work with it. If you're working on one machine at a time, you can just run without the -j. So let's type exploit. So it started a reverse handler, exploit completed. Complete. Once we've started this, we can check on the jobs. I didn't run it with -j. I mean, that's what jobs does. Jobs, no active jobs. Completed. After we've established our connection, in the next task, we can list all of our sessions using the command sessions. Similarly, we can interact with those sessions. Session tac I to interact, and this is plural, not singular. That will get you a ton of times. And then the session number. So sessions, I have no active sessions, so there's nothing there to interact with. I'm just gonna hit completed. That's it. So we're not in is the problem. That is the problem. So let's see. Show options. I have the wrong L host. I have it set to 215, and that is not. So me debugging, what happened? When I ran this command, it said set the R host to this target, started reverse handler on 10.02.15:4444. That's listening on a network that is not connected to the Try-Hack-Me network, right? So it stands to reason that this target machine would not be able to communicate with it, right? It's only fair. So how do I recover from this? I need to set lhost to the right address that's connected to the same network as the target machine. And that's going to be the 10.2.4.29 network. Or I'm sorry, that address. That's on the same network as this thing. If you do the subnetting, you would find that out. All right, so now I can run my exploit, and I expect it to work correctly. After you set a variable, it's not a bad habit to show options, just to verify that everything went as expected, that you didn't like forget a period or something in here. Man, don't do that. So what happened there is I copied and accidentally pasted all of the text into the screen. So let's do that. Now I can just hit exploit and hopefully it ought to go. All right, cool. It looks like we're in. So what happened here? Let's break this down a bit. It says start a reverse handler on the right network on the port that we specified. It says sending stage. Well, what does that mean? So we used a staged exploit. The reverse connection means like you break in, you send just a little bit of code, enough code that knows how to get back to me and ask for a bigger program to run. That bigger program is the Meterpreter shell. We wanted a Meterpreter shell because that's what's going to give us all the goodies as far as like being able to sort of have a really nice hacking experience, I guess, on this remote machine. So that's to say like running additional modules, being able to like automatically sort of dynamically get new programs onto this machine in a more streamlined fashion. We don't have to like build everything on that remote machine. All right, so it says task 6, we're in. Now what? Scrolling up, it says now that we've got a shell on our victim machine, let's look at the post-exploitation modules. First thing is our initial probably isn't very stable. Let's go ahead and attempt to move to a different process. So this is part of that thing I was mentioning probably in the slides about maintaining access. You want to have reliable means of communication with this machine. So I'm going to follow along here. It says first list the processes using the PS command. PS stands for like, just in Linux, listing the processes. And if I scroll or zoom out just a bit, I'm going to rerun the command. Hopefully I'll see more on the screen. Just barely. I can see the PID, PPID, the name of the image that's running, architecture, session, user is important, and path is somewhat important. So the three most important ones: PID, name, and then user. In my mind, I think those are the most important. So let's see, most of them can be answered using the Meterpreter help menu, which can be accessed through the help command. Okay, so that's worth pointing out. Notice that if we scroll up a lot, you can see we said here we're in MSF6, exploit, yada, yada, exploit, what I mean? Like we're in a different prompt. This prompt is what they call the Metasploit console. This prompt down here where it says Meterpreter with the angle bracket, that's the Meterpreter console. They are not the same. Some of the commands have overlap, like help, for instance. Help is going to be pretty universal. That works in your Linux terminal. That works in the Meterpreter shell. Well, kind of. And it works in the Metasploit consoles also. So what's the name of the spool service? So just bear in mind that when you might say the shell of the terminal, you just kind of need to be cognizant of like which one of these you're thinking about. It says, what is the name of the spool service? So if we look at name, I'm looking for, I see the word spool. I'm going to guess that that's spool SV service. SV.exe. What's the hint say? Whoop. This includes an example spool service is traditionally very stable and restarts pretty quickly in the case that we crash it. Okay, good idea. So, okay, all of that being said, our thing here is to hack into another process that's on that machine. And what they're talking about, having a stable service that starts quickly, the spool service for your printer generally is that. So I'm going to hit submit. Let's go ahead and move into another process, or at least attempt to. What command would you use to transfer ourselves into the process? This won't work at the current time as we don't have sufficient privileges, but we can still try. Okay, so first of all, what's available to us? How do I know what I can do? Question mark, is that anything? Turns out it is. Is help? Turns out it is. It's the same thing, in fact. So these things are all sort of broken down into categories. So let's sort of just scroll up to the top and then work our way back down. Again, we have this concept of core commands. Background is very important. So BG, those are the same thing. This is how you get back into Metasploit console to do something else. So maybe work on another target, something to that effect. You've hacked this machine. Now you're just going to let it sit and percolate or whatever for a while and hack on something else for a while. So background is important. Let's see. Help is obviously important. One thing I always like to think about is get a lay of the land. What machine am I on right now? So I think it's like sysinfo. Am I wrong about that? Yeah, sysinfo gets information about the remote system, such as operating system. So SYS info. I likely already knew the name of it, but I might not have had a specific version or operating system or something to that effect. I wouldn't know that there are 2 logged in users. I mean, someone else is actively using this computer, perhaps. Some other things that I might do is maybe like the time, find out what time it is. How long has the remote user been idle? Are they actively using it? So what's idle time? It's going to be a long time. It's going to be, at least 30 minutes. So obviously you can shut down the computer. That wouldn't be much fun for you, but it could be, I don't know, prank or something. Get user ID. Get UID. Get UID. So we are running in the context of the dark user on the computer named dark PC. So anyway, that's this. Let's follow along with the tutorial. What's it saying here? Keep scrolling. It says we need to transfer ourselves into the process. What is that? What is that going to be? Transfer ourselves into the process. I'm suspecting it's going to be migrate. Migrate the server to another process. What's the hint say? Like birds, we've got to migrate. Okay, cool deal. What's that going to do? Awesome. So, well, that migration didn't work. So hold on. One second. They didn't tell us how to do the migration. So how do I do it? I type migrate, hit enter, and it's going to tell me a little bit of information. It's asking for a PID. It's asking for a name and a timeout. Okay, so PID and name. So if I list my processes again, I know I want to hack into the spool service because they said it was a stable process. The PID is, remember, that's first column, the process ID, 1372. So I can migrate 1372. Migrating from process 2224 to 1372. Right now, I've hacked into IceCast, right? And notice my process ID is 2224, migrating from 2224 to this other process. Now it says, cannot migrate to process, insufficient privileges. Okay, what command can we use to run more information regarding the current user running the process we're in? This one is in, so GET-UID. I think get UID right here, GET-UID. Yep, that's correct. How about finding info about the system itself? Let's see. I think that's going to be sysinfo. I think I talked about all that already. It's nice. This might take a little bit of Googling. What do we run to load Mimikatz? More specifically, the new version of Mimikatz, so we can use it. Okay, so if I type help, I think it's going to be load. Load interpreter extension. And then I think this is going to be, this is just here. Let's follow along. Boom, load Mimikatz. New version. Metasploit. How can I get Metasploit? Or actually not just Metasploit, but Meterpreter, because that's where we're trying to load it. How can I get to load that? Scrolling around, I think the answer is going to be load Kiwi, but using Kiwi in Metasploit. There we are. Boom. It's an O'Reilly response. Kiwi. Let's try it. Load Kiwi. Nice. All right. Cool. Loaded that program. So what is Mimikatz? It's a way to sort of if I log into a computer, my memory, in particular my credentials, are stored in memory, and Mimikatz was a clever way to extract those secrets from memory, sort of decode them in a way, and then make them viewable in plain text or in a way that they can be passed around as authentication material. So let's see. Hint says the new version of Mimikatz is referred to as Kiwi in Metasploit. Nice. All right. Load Kiwi. All right, let's go ahead and figure out the privileges of our current user. What command do we run? Okay, the privileges of our user. The privileges. So I need to go, it's probably going to be a core command. Maybe. What command do we run? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. GTPRIVF. Get privs. There it is, right there. Get privs. All right. So let me type GETPRIVS. Oops. Oh no. TPRIVS, and tab completion works here. That's cool. All right. So this part is super technical. Understand that it's basically a limited set of privileges that we have, right? This program was not running as an administrator. So when we hacked into it, we didn't gain privileges of an administrator, right? So, oops, I accidentally clicked it. So it's get privs, correct. What command do we run to transfer files onto our computer? Upload, I imagine. I think that's going to be pretty standard. So I would say upload a file or directory, transfer files to the victim, upload. Submit. What if we want to run a Metasploit module? I think that's going to be in the core interpreter script or Metasploit. That's going to be run. What did the hint say? Similar to how we ran the exploit previously. This is a simple question, but still quite necessary. What command do we use to run to figure out the networking information and interfaces of our system? So this is one thing it's interesting. I think this should be ifconfig, but very, very good point, right? ifconfig, ipconfig. They apparently provide both, and they should both probably work depending on whichever machine you're on. So if you're on a Windows machine, normally you type ipconfig into the command prompt. Well, I bet I can type ifconfig and it will work. It's going to show me all of the networking interfaces. Likewise, I could type ipconfig and it should be in the same format. So there's no difference between the commands. It's really just to give you the opportunity with whatever you're most familiar with to get it to run. So let's type ipconfig and then see what the hint says. There are two forms here. I'm looking for the option including the character P and is otherwise a Windows command. Okay, ipconfig, next. Let's go ahead and run a few post modules from Metasploit. Let's run the command post windows gather check VM. And that'll see if we're in a virtual machine. So how this works is Meterpreter doesn't have all of that code on the hacked target yet, right? So when we type run, it's actually going to send that code over, load it dynamically, and then run it. So run post, post Windows, and you have tab completion. Because this isn't having to go over there and come back, it's like tabs out really quickly. Check VM. This is a Zen virtual machine. All right, very cool. Now it says run post multi recon local exploit suggester. So this says this will check for various exploits within our session to elevate our privileges. I'm going to Control-Shift-V. Collecting local exploits. And here they're referencing the room ICE. That's actually the other box that you're going to use in this particular set of labs. So. This part takes a while because it actually has to check and find out like what is available on this machine. There's no real way to know how long it's going to take. It just takes as long as it takes. Okay. So it's finding a bunch of different exploits that we could leverage apparently. And I think it's all right. There it is. Sweet. Cool. So I'm going to hit completed on that. It says let's try to enable forcing RDP. Since this won't work since we're not administrators, however, this is a fun command to know about. So turning on RDP. This is how a lot of industrial control systems end up getting got. So if you have administrator privileges, like if one of these exploits works, and then you run this particular module, then you know, like you've turned on the ability to remotely, like with keyboard and mouse and screen, like control that computer. So completed. One quick extra question. What command can we run in our interpreter session to spawn a normal system shell? I don't know. Let's type help and find out. Notice we have a new command here. We have Kiwi commands. Those weren't there before. All we had were like priv password hashes and all these other good things. This is a fun one to know about as well. I mean, this like stolen credentials are the probably easiest way to get further access into a system. Because you might only have one vulnerable machine in a network, but that one vulnerable machine might have many legitimate users, administrator and normal. So let's scroll up. Let's see, I think they're going to look for the shell command. Let's just verify, drop into a system shell. Let's try it, S-H-E-L-L. Awesome. So this has put me into something very similar to if I just typed, you know, cmd.exe and on a Windows machine. If I type dir, it runs just the same. To list the processes, that's the PS command. That's not a thing on Windows. Right now, I'm effectively at a Windows command prompt. To list files, ls, not a thing on Windows. So how do I get out of this mode? I think you can type background. Not normally a Windows command, but Meterpreter, I think, should know to intercept that. Nope. BG. Quit. How is it? One of these, Control Z. background channel 4. Okay, so I hit Control and then the Z key. Normally that's the pause, I think, command in Unix, or like the interrupt signal. So do I want a background channel 4? So what that means is, like, do you want to put that command channel in the background, or was this an error on your part? I'm going to hit in, and let's see what happens. It just kind of put me back where I was at. So I want to hit background, and this time I'm going to hit yes, and it should drop me to the Meterpreter shell. There we are. We're back in the Meterpreter shell. So sometimes it's useful if you just need to be able to run, you know how to do the thing in the Windows command prompt with the Linux command prompt, but you don't know how to do it in Meterpreter. For instance, add a user to an account, to a system, or maybe start a program that already exists on that computer. Maybe that's the reason you would want to. But this is going to be shell submit. Making Cisco proud. What is this going to do? Last but certainly not least, let's take a look at the auto routing options available to us in Metasploit. While our victim machine may not have multiple network interfaces, we'll walk through the motions of pivoting through our victim as if it did have access to extra networks. What if that computer was connected to a VPN? What if the computer that you hacked into was connected to a corporate VPN? The same way that we connected to a VPN to get into the TryHackMe network, that target computer could be connected to a VPN to connect to, I don't know, any other corporate network, right? So that's one way. That's pivoting. That's going through one host to get to another. Let's go ahead and run the command run autoroute-h. This will pull up the help menu for autoroute. What command do we run to add a route to the following subnet using that? Okay, so I'm going to try run autoroute-h. Okay. So here we're going to have to put on our thinking hat. It says, let's go ahead and run that command, yada, yada. What command do we run to add a route to the following subnet? 172.18.10/24. Use the TAC in answer in your answer. Okay, so we want to add a route. And it says that the Meterpreter scripts are deprecated and we want to use a post module in the future. Okay, sure, whatever. So TAC in seems like it represents the net mask. If you remember your subnetting, /24 is this class C, right? And that's 255.255.255 is 0. So that means you have 254 hosts. Let's see. So this is going to be, and this is the format I was looking for. It's run auto route. Let's see. I'm guessing it's going to be TAC S, IP address TAC in, right there. So run auto route, and basically the format of this top command. Route TAC S, and then the network is 172.18. And again, the way we would find out victim, like potential pivots or new networks to discover, what was it? IP config, right? So this is the network. Maybe there was a new, open VPN network that had an IP address, 172.18.1.37, right? Then that would be a new, that's its identity in that network. Anyway, let's get back to this. 1.1.0 0, and then TAC in for the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Is that going to be correct? I think so. Looks like that was correct. Excellent. So again, that was just the format of this right here. Let's see. And I think we'll talk more about pivoting, because again, I don't think we've seen those slides yet, so sorry. Additionally, we can start a SOCKS 5 proxy server out of this session, background our current Meterpreter session, and run the command search. Okay, so let's do that. Let's back out of this. Let's type BG. Now we're back in Metasploit console. We were in Meterpreter that whole time. If I type ipconfig here, I'm not going to get anything. It's not a real command. ifconfig is a Linux command, and it's going to run the Linux command for me. So understand, I'm back in the Metasploit console. So search server socks 5. Whoop. Okay, so in Metasploit 6, apparently there is no server slash socks 5. You have server socks underscore proxy. I think it's going to be the same thing. Huh? So what does it need from us? It needs auxil, and it's just we're gonna have to like know to put this answer as the right answer. So auxil, man, I cannot spell, auxiliary slash server slash socks 5. If we were Metasploit 5, I think that would be the answer. I'm gonna hit submit. That's correct. Okay. Yeah, it says this room is like 560 days old, so some of the information might be dated. Meh, it's okay. Once we've started a socks server, we can modify our proxy chains to include the new server. Okay, so what are they saying here? Let's see. Let's do this. We're gonna use socks proxy. Nice. Show options, run -J. All right, so now I have a proxy running in the background, and I can use this to push other tools through it. So I can use some custom code that I maybe write that's not a Metasploit module to attack this server on like tunneling through my Meterpreter sessions. So that's kind of interesting. What command do we prefix our commands outside of Metasploit and run them through our socks 5 proxy server with proxy chains? Well, they kind of told you what it is. It's proxy chains. So I'm going to open up a new thing here. Proxy chains. Right. So basically, the way it works is like you say proxy chains, and then curl, you know, or some other command, right? Just any other command and ours. Basically, that's as that works. The way one thing they did mention is you have to modify your Etsy proxychains.conf cat/Etsy proxy chains. So the way that this thing sets up and works is it will like you can establish a single proxy, or you can establish a series of proxies through which all of your TCP connections will be pivoted. So here there's a default entry for the Tor project. So see chains. All right, cool. We finished the room. I do want to show real quick how to get back into that session. We backed out of it, set up the proxy chains. How do I get back into it? I can type sessions, and I can sessions tag I to interact with session ID #1. Hey, and I'm back in my Meterpreter session. Oh, real quick, let's, I don't know if this box is going to work for us, if it's going to work in this way, but this is what I would try if I was doing this. Right out of the gate, you can always try this get system thing, get system. And what that's going to do is try to get system level access to this particular machine. It may work, it may not. That's what the local exploit suggester is trying to do for you. It's it's automating that process of finding out what tools do I need to try in order to hack into this thing. So I might have broken it with git system real bad. Did it? Oh. Uh-oh. Oh man, if you finish it, does it die? Maybe. Let's see, ping. Oh, it's on. Well, never mind then. I'll just ignore that. We'll do it in some other section. But anyway, you know, git system hash dump is always a good thing. What can you get for free from this particular machine? All right, well, I'm going to stop the recording because I think we beat the room already and we're done. So, all right, thanks again. We'll see you next time. Recording.